You are listening to I Am Refocused Radio with your host, Shamaya Reed. This show is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. And now, here's your host, Shamaya Reed.
Hey, welcome to I Am Refocused Radio. We are here once again. Today, we have another show lineup for y'all today. We are going to talk to our special guest. She is a speaker, an author, a financial coach, and also a certified grief coach. Her name is Debra Morrison, and we're going to learn everything about what she does. Everything that she does is all about planning. So first and foremost, I just want to welcome Miss Debra to the show and say how you doing today.
Thank you kindly. I'm great. Let's do this.
So you are, like I said, speaker, author, financial coach, and certified grief coach. You have 3 books that you authored, but today we're going to talk about a special topic about financial planning, and for specifically women who are planning for their future in the later part of their life. So first and foremost, give us a little bit of a background of yourself.
Well, thank you. And I do come by this honestly. Way back in my childhood, my grandfather, maternal grandfather, was a stock market investor. And he was invested in stocks during the Great Depression. And he had handed each of us grandchildren shares of stock, and his hands were literally shaking as he gave them to us. IT Industries, I still remember one of them. And he said, don't cash this in, Deb, until you have to. I could tell this man was a very, very serious man. And the emotion with which his hands shook as he held this piece of paper, I knew that wasn't just a piece of paper. So fast forward, my aunt takes me to the New York Stock Exchange. I think I was 8. I was mesmerized. I leaned forward and there was plexiglass, and I just looked at all that energy on the floor, and I was completely convinced. I wasn't sure I was going to be down there in the pit as I grew into a young woman with paper tickets and all that shouting. And I saw an energy around money that was completely magnetizing to me. And so I went through college, business degree, big deal, and wanted to know about investing. And I wanted to go and learn about investments at 1978. And you might imagine a lot of the investment community and big Wall Street firms, they were like, I'm not going to put money into a little white college girl, right? Just a recent graduate. And so they said to me, why don't you just go sell life insurance? They thought I'd be out the door in 2 weeks. And I said, I've heard about life insurance, but just tell me details about the product. And when they did, I said to myself, whoa, this product can save families, save businesses, preserve in untimely or timely deaths, if you will, expected deaths and certainly unexpected deaths. And I believed in that mission so thoroughly, Shamai. I went out and sold. First of all, I bought my own policy first, never sold anything I didn't buy. And I bought my own $1 million policy first. And I went out and sold life insurance because I believed in it. And I led the agency as a 21-year-old girl for 2 years. And then I said, boys, I want to learn about investments, and I did. So I came by my love of money and investments very, very young. And yet, I will not be mistaken to think that these greenbacks are really our totality of our wealth, because there's so many people that spend the first half of their life, and some of our listeners are in that stage, ruining our health to make this almighty dollar. And then we spend the next half, or 25 years or 40 years, redeeming and hoping to regain and restore our health, spending a lot of groups of zeros to do that. So let's prevent that spinning of the wheels and the angst, the personal angst. Let's do planning ahead of time. And it sounds so logical, and yet we often don't do things we're not good at. So we're going to talk tonight about how to get good at it. How's that?
I love that. And speaking of getting good at it, what is a good age to start thinking about it and start actually taking action? Is there any point of time where it could be risky if you wait too long?
Well, certainly I do. I still have my master's degree in retirement planning. So I always wanted to deal with people as they are certainly within 10 years of retirement. And yet I am completely a fan of starting early. A dear friend of mine employed her grandson in her real estate business, and he came up to his grandmother's desk in his first paycheck, and he's like, "Grandma, you told me the salary was X, and that divided by 26 every 2 weeks, and that's why." And this paycheck is a lot less. He didn't have a clue about taxes and all that stuff, right? Medical insurance copay, all that. So the fact is, it's an innocent question, right? He didn't know. And so I want us to fill in the blanks of our ignorance as to what it takes, if you will, to become what I call financially free. And what that is in my book is to not be encumbered, tethered by, oh, I don't think I can have enough money to make that decision, to buy that, to take that vacation and stuff, right? I want us to be as smart as squirrels. You see, in the Northeast, the squirrels are running around in August and September with their jowls just packed with nuts, and they're storing them away because they know the snow is coming and it's going to obviate finding nuts. And they also know they're going to have a habit of eating in the fall and in the winter. And so I want us also to not just eat and consume and spend everything we're bringing in. And so from that first paycheck, or from this moment on, I want to invite you to take something automatically off the top. Pay yourself first. And when you do that, you will, first of all, up-level your own self-worth. You think, I'm worth this. If I said to you, Shemaya, who's more important, your electric company or you? Oh,
yeah, definitely. Definitely me. Yeah.
Yet who gets paid?
They do.
So that's why we want to put ourselves first in line. Now, I was raised Christian fundamentalist, right? Tithes and offerings. Tithe was 10%. Off of what you have at the end of the month? Oh no, the top. And then offerings on top of that. So religious or not, I want us to take our money off the top for ourselves, our missions, and so forth. Because I ran money for 42 years in my own firm. I was a fee-only planner for 22 of those 42 years for generally high net worth clients. And I had clients all the time that came into me and they had like $73,000 of Pepsi stock. And I said, hey, how did you come about this Pepsi stock? It was the strangest thing. I just loved Pepsi. And from college, I just put $100 a month away. It was painless to them. And then this thing grew and grew and grew, compounding, as Einstein called it, the eighth wonder of the world. Yet we must have something in the markets in order to have that growth, those dividends being reissued and then compounding on top of our base investment, plus all the dividends, right? So the idea of us working, and maybe we're working in a W-2 job and the employer has a 401k for profit organizations or a 403b for not profits. And I want us to go ahead and contribute a certain amount right off the top. And you're going to feel it the first paycheck. The second and subsequent paychecks, you're just like, okay, I don't see it. I don't miss it. I don't see it. It went right over to the 401k. And you are going to be surprised at how that grows. And I say that is the first step towards you being intentional about your wealth.
Once again, listen to I'm Focus Radio, talking to our guests today, Debra and Morrison. And man, yeah, being intentional is key. When someone is starting out and they're working systems to be more disciplined and really pay attention to their finances, at what point is it important for them to get an advisor so that they can go to that next level of not just putting money away, but actually having a strategy?
That's a great question. And I do believe that you can Google a lot. And yet ultimately, I want us to have a framework, okay, of what we're attempting to achieve. So somebody says like, I really want whatever I want in 3 years or in 5 years, right? I'm not interested in spending, right? I'm not interested in a spending account right now. You can handle that. What I'm interested in is investing. And I want to segment our lives between what we're wanting to achieve 1 to 3 years, 3 to 5 years, 5 to 7 years, 7 to 10 years, and 10 years plus, right? You can do that on your own, and you're wise to do that. I have something called a goal investment timeline that I made up out of my own, intuition. And that is, let's send the right financial investment to do the job. And you won't send, well, you might, but you would not be smart to send a bond to do the stock's job. See, anything over 7 years in duration, that really, in my humble, is calling out for a stock or real estate type of an investment, not a bond. Can you send a bond? Yes, you'll have to save twice as much if the future earnings on stocks versus the future earnings on bonds is in any way mirroring the last 80 years, because the return on stocks has been about double, on average 10-ish% versus the return on bonds on average about 5%. So if you've got all the money in the world, go ahead and invest in your bonds. I'm going to rather take half of that money that you're investing in bonds and invest my money in stocks, maybe some small, maybe some large, et cetera, so that I can use the other half for something else. And so to get an advisor, there are, and I love fee-only advisors because brokers are really serving generally themselves, right? There are 3 ways that brokers and three ways financial advisors are paid. Commission, that's your broker and your insurance agent. Fee-based, someone that's of those ilks, and they're basically going to charge you a fee for a plan, and they'll also make a commission on any products that you buy from them. And then there's something called fee-only, which is fiduciary. This is the type of person that is going to serve your needs best, and yours and only your needs, right? They're not going to receive a commission. They have no conflict of interest for pushing this or that fund. So you're definitely going to want to give yourself top tier knowledge, top tier advice. And a fee-only planner will do that. And many of them will just pick you up and charge you an hourly fee. It's worth every nickel of it. And so then you'll go back to them once or twice a year and just fine tune it, if you will. So this is an exercise, and you can look on the computer for fee-only or fiduciary financial planners. NAPFA, NAPFA.org is one such source. And there's another whole consortium of fee-only planners from Cheryl Garrett's financial planning organization. So look those up, Google them, Cheryl Garrett, Garrett, and NAPFA, NAPFA.org. So you just say, I'm a newbie investor. I don't have, a ton of money, and yet I want to start smart.
We're talking to our guest today, Debra Morrison, speaker, author, financial coach, and certified grief coach. And when people are now on the journey, they got started, they're having meetings with their advisor, and the ball is rolling. Maybe they're like a year into this. What are some managing risks and challenges that they should be aware of in the future, and how can they best prepare themselves?
That is a super question, because so often we think of financial planning through the eyes of an investment. Oh, Tesla or Microsoft or Amazon stock. Get over yourself. One lawsuit can ruin your whole morning. As 44 years in the business, 42 years actively managing money and financially planning for high net worth clients, and the subsequent 2 years as a financial coach, I can assure you that decision on a single investment is microscopic in terms of importance relative to, are you the breadwinner, or is your family or partner dependent upon your income? And if so, let's buy life insurance, even term insurance, in a way that represents some semblance of your income should you die prematurely. And this is how simple it gets. Trust me, I sold life insurance 19 years until the opportunity to become fee only. And here, life insurance agents have these huge machination of reports, and they'll come back to you and say, based on this 42-page analysis, you need this. Here's how I distilled it, because I'm all about, I was raised in a little humble 100-acre farm. I am boots on the ground. I don't think we have time for a lot of hyperbole, right? So I say, partner A, what are you making a year? $100,000. How many years do you want to buy your partner if you died yesterday? First of all, there's nothing upsetting about it. He didn't die yesterday. He's still here. So it's very unassuming. He didn't die yesterday, but if he did, you're making $100,000. You want to buy your partner how many years? Let them answer. 3 years. Partner B, what are you making? So also $100,000. What do you want to buy your partner had you died yesterday? In years. And that's how simple it is. Okay, 300,000. 3 years. You got a little kid. You want to put about $50,000 away. Had you died yesterday, it blossoms into something they can start their own business. You got a mortgage, couple 100,000. So what are we up to? 300,000 for 3 times 100,000, 50,000 for a little kid, 350, 450, 550. If you're going to throw $200,000 to cancel out a mortgage, that's the term insurance you need. I don't care about whole life insurance at this juncture of your life. Get term insurance with a quality company that you can convert that into whole life insurance should you lose a portion of your health. You don't want to go with Shifting Sands of Iowa because you Googled it and it's the cheapest term insurance. That you don't want to do. But protect yourself, because the obituaries are filled every day with a large number of those people having not expected to be there yesterday. So if in fact your heirs are going to be bereft, you definitely want them to be able to process your passing with civility. And grief recovery takes time. I wrote a book called My Husband Died, Now What? A Widow's Guide to Grief Recovery and Smart Financial Decisions. It may be one of the only ones around that combines half grief coaching, grief recovery, and financial tips and tools. Why? Because in a state of grief, all kind of commission agents come whirling in and say, while they're delivering the death benefit check, hopefully there is one, and says to generally the widow, Bessie, you want to be safe with your money, don't you? And they wrap Bessie up into handcuffs and a variable annuity, which pays a bajunga commission to them. And Bessie is meanwhile trying to figure out how to pay the rent or the mortgage. So this is serious business. So cover your life insurance needs if your loss of your income would be a substantial upset to someone that's depending upon you. Number 2, carry liability insurance. All the accidents in the world, and everybody, if they lose a partner or someone, or the partner's disabled, that's almost, it's like almost worse than death in so much it's elongated, and sometimes it can be massively expensive. If that happens to one of your family members or dear friends, and you're in a position, you're probably going to sue the person that's responsible for what? $100,000? I don't think so. You're going to sue for multiple millions. And then I ask you, how much umbrella liability insurance do you have? No, I don't have that. Get it. Because if you or one of your family members in your household is charged to be responsible for maiming or killing someone, they're not suing you for $100,000. And I'd rather all that you have planned for and worked for, and maybe the house and the assets that you have going up in smoke, your pension being garnished. You're picking up what I'm putting down, because this risk management is a very, very much ignored portion of financial planning. Then we'll get to the investment part.
When people are listening to this episode, you mentioned in this interview, I think it's glued to everything. You were raised on the farm, and you learned a lot about values. And one of those values is taking responsibility at a young age and learning the ropes of planning and planting and receiving a harvest. So before we close, someone listening right now, and before they give advice or before they even think about how they're going to start planning their future, what's the basic responsibility of core values that they can start applying in their life that goes beyond money?
Perfect. I mean, I'm on a plane and someone asks me, what do you do? And I say, and then they say, where are interest rates going? Like, that is like a non sequitur. Control what you can control. You can control largely your income. Even if you're W-2, you can pick up an Uber job at night. Yes, we can. Control what you spend and control what you invest. If you have that down, then an hourly consult with a financial advisor, a fee-only financial advisor is my preference, to say to you, okay, for those 7+ year goals, we're going to put that money into stock and we're going to split it between the Standard & Poor index and a small cap index, for example. And then we'll get some bonds for the shorter term duration goals. You can control that allocation of your investments with some professional input. But the first thing you want to do is control what you spend. You must be as smart as squirrels. You are wise to start early because compounding will work in your favor. You see, if you do not start early and your counterparts are starting early, it gives you a comparative point if you're in fact sharing with your counterparts and your friends how much they've accumulated, because inflation, which is kind of this most insidious risk of all, everybody gets myopic about principal risk. Oh my gosh, I put $10,000 in the Standard & Poor and it's down 20%. Yeah, okay, you didn't sell. Don't get too excited about it, right? Here's the deal. If you're sitting on cash right now or bonds because you didn't realize that stocks have really outperformed over the last 80 years, and again, no idea what the future is going to hold, but Mark Twain said if history, may not repeat itself, but it'll surely rhyme. You may find an opportunity to view the stock market depression right now as a wow sale opportunity. Woo! I can get in and buy something of great value now for 20% off. We run to the retailers for little sales. This is a huge opportunity to buy. You've got to be smart. Buy low, sell high. That takes intellect. I want us to separate, Shemaiah, our emotion from our intellect. And so we intellectually put down on paper, this is what I'm making, this is what I'm spending. Yes, do the budget because it's going to instruct you as to whether your expenditures are matching your mission in life. And when better to start to define your why than as early as you can, which is now. And once you have your why, some professional can help you with the how, and you will be miles ahead of the person that's not intentional about their wealth. And then you'll be in a position to pay it forward because there's a lot of need in this life. I want you to have the life of your dreams, and I want you to be able to pay it forward. And the best way, I'm not saying you can't volunteer your time. I'm not saying that money buys happiness. I'm also saying money is a tool that you can use for yourself, and then you can share it with others. And that is such a great feeling. And it doesn't take a rocket science. Start early, invest systematically.
Once again, man, we're talking to our special guest today, Debra Morrison. She is a speaker, author, financial coach, certified grief coach. And man, when people are listening to this episode, first you listen to this, you can go IamRefocusRadio.com to listen to this, and anywhere you can hear a podcast. But call to action to close this. What's the best way a listener can contact you if, one, they want to learn more information about you, or if they want to see if they're a good fit for your services?
Well, thank you so much. I have a speaker website called Debra, L spelled Debra, L, Morrison, MORRISON.com. And you can pop on to that site and get it's a 10 mistakes video series, 10 mistakes women over 50 make and how to avoid them. So forget it. If you're a guy, don't be crazy. Oh, that's not me. Because if you're lucky, you'll make it to age 50, because there are a lot of people that don't, right? You might have a mom that's age 50 or older. And so it's a real good depiction and you see me in action, I'm very atypical. Like if you think about financial professionals, you generally don't conjure me up talking about squirrels and golf clubs and everything else, spices in your kitchen cabinet. I make analogies to bring these concepts home, because I suspect you're making your 9 to 5 or your entrepreneurial, profits in a field that's not finance. Well, that's my field. So I'm sharing it with you. I'm building the bridge between the jargon that you might have felt on the outside, away from, distanced from, into some applicable, easy to follow path and journey, if you will, for you. So it's 10 mistakes women over 50 make and how to avoid them. What better way to awaken yourself to, hey, what I've heard on the internet, I may need to ask another question. And that's what I would love for your listeners and everyone joining us today and on the replays, to ask more questions. Does this support my why? And I want you to have your why, and you'll tweak your why. And then I want our investment portfolio, I want us to manage our risks first and ensure those that are groups of zeros and assume the littler risks. And then from an investment portfolio, I want to make sure that our investments dovetail with each other so that they are congruent to help us, based on past returns of various asset classes, get to our why. And that, my friends, is a very rich feeling on a host of levels.
You've been listening to Refocus Radio, talking to our guest for today, Miss Debra Morrison. And she is doing great things with her website. Once again, she gave it to you, DebraLMorrison.com. And I want to say, first of all, thank you for not just sharing your knowledge, but also just breaking it down for the audience, help them understand better, just gain value from this topic so that they can, too, take action and change their life for the better. So appreciate your time giving back to us on this platform.
Most welcome. Thank you so much.